Personal story segment tonight, mocking Christian doctrine. CBS heavily promoted this back and forth between me and Norah O'Donnell.
You believe the Holy Spirit directed you to write Killing Jesus?
Yes, I believe that.
And why would the Holy Spirit choose you?
You're asking me to speculate about the deity.
Well, you are suggesting that you are the chosen one, Bill.
I'm not the chosen one. I'm just one of many who have been given gifts. I can write and I can bloviate on TV. So I'm trying to use the gifts in a positive way. Well, if you're hearing that, the Associated Press, which is often hateful towards Fox News, wrote a very nasty dispatch saying Bill O'Reilly says God told him to write his new book, Killing Jesus. The AP piece dripping with condescension. Also, as we reported on Friday, a columnist for the Philadelphia Daily News, Howard Gensler, openly mocked the Holy Spirit reference. Joining us now from Washington, Christopher Ruddy, who teaches theology at Catholic University, and here in New York, Raymond Arroyo, news director for EWTN, a Catholic global TV network. So, first of all, explain the Holy Spirit reference. I mean, you can do it much better than I can.
Well, the Holy Spirit is a third person of the Trinity, and Catholics throughout the ages, not only Catholics, believers have said, any believer, the Holy Spirit has inspired me. There's no monopoly on that. That's not saying God told you to do it. You may have felt the Holy Spirit truly leading you.
But
that's
the doctrine of the Christian faith,
Correct.
not just Catholic, Christian, is that there is an act of God.
Right.
And God takes an interest in each and every human being on the planet. You are inspired by the Holy Spirit, and then you're tempted by a dark spirit, and then you have to decide. Do I have it right, Mr. Ruddy?
Well, I think that, controversy sells with something like this, a sense of God speaking to you. I think some people want to perhaps, criticize that or mock it because in some ways sometimes it can get you off the hook from actually listening to perhaps what God is saying to you. It also requires humility in this sense to know if the voice is really coming from God or if it's coming from somewhere else.
But it doesn't really matter if it's my belief that this I woke up in the middle of the night, I know I was inspired to do it. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I just don't want them mocking the doctrine. And that's what they did. They be, oh, is it right? It's like, wait a minute here. This is what all Christians believe. An act of God helps, and then, you decide whether you want the help or not. I mean, that's just the way it is. God didn't tell me to do anything. I had an inspiration that I attributed to the Holy Spirit. Should it be mocked?
No, not necessarily. I think that you could say the proof is in the pudding. Look at what has been done with that inspiration or claim to inspiration, and you'll be able to judge for yourself in some ways, whether that's
But you're getting
good.
to my point that there is an attempt by the secular progressives in this country to diminish, put you in this nut category that, oh, here's some kind of zealot or this guy, that guy. But why do they do it, Mr. Arroyo, in your opinion? Why they wouldn't do it to Judaism, they wouldn't do it to Islam. All right, and Islam, if you did it, you'd be a fatwa issued on you. But they wouldn't do it anyway. So why do they do it on the Christian doctrine?
There are a lot of people afraid of this conversation, Bill. Jesus is dangerous to some. They don't want to have the conversation. Bill O'Reilly is dropping Jesus Christ again in the middle of the pop culture.
Not Christ.
Well, but
in my book, I never mentioned the word Christ.
But Jesus of Nazareth.
Yes.
And that provokes a conversation. Look, when Bill O'Reilly writes a book about Jesus, did you expect palm branches, Bill? No.
No, but I didn't expect the doctrine to be attacked. I expected me to be attacked, not the doctrine. How do you see it, Mr. Ruddy?
I think, as I said, I think sometimes there's a suspicion, and I think that this is a way that can sometimes be used to diminish the claims of religion in general.
But why would the secular progressive press want to diminish any claims of any religion? Why?
They may find that it's disturbing some of the claims. It may upset some of the things that they hold dear.
Like what? Abortion?
It could be. There could be other issues as well. I think this is a case sometimes where it's helpful in some ways to go back to the basics, as say someone like Pope Francis just said. Move away from some of the controversy and focus on the truly important things.
Well, that's a good tactic for the Christian believers. I agree the messenger has to be acceptable. But here I think there's a more disturbing trend among secular progressives, and that is if you make any open religious reference, then you're a nut, you're a loon, and we're going to come after you. Last word, Mr. O'Reilly.
Well, Bill, my problem with all this is they should have attacked you on the merit of what you reported, not on whether you were inspired by the Holy Spirit or not. That's your prerogative as a believer. My problem is they should have taken you on the merits, and they're not doing that.
Well, they couldn't.
Well,
because the book is true.
There you go.
And, you know, it's history, and we back it up.
You know the saying, blessed are you when you're reviled and persecuted. Your reward is in heaven, Bill.
I always say I'm the biggest sinner on the block. I don't want any sympathy, but I don't like them attacking the Christian doctrine. I think it's wrong. Gentlemen, thanks very much. We come right back.